I didn't just arrive. I believe I arrived the moment I grabbed my guitar. I think it's been like that since day one, because I listened to certain things that I did when I was a kid, and they was already there. I mean, I was trying really desperately to sound like Otis Rush and B.B. King, and the more I tried, I sound like me. And then when I hear the things that I was doing back then, I was already crystallizing a vocabulary that is very different than Michael Bloomfield, very different than B.B. King. And that's because I was in the middle between B.B. King and Tito Puente. So I was like playing notes like Gabor Szabo and Wes Montgomery, because the elevator was really crowded. Everybody was there, man. They were all coming from a certain place, was basically blues, only really loud blues. I wanted to go more like a saxophone and a violin. I think it was Bill Graham, one of my first teachers, along with my dad. He says, you seem like sometimes you feel embarrassed because, we know that you always aspire to, project spirituality. But, people actually, get really aroused with your music. And also your music is the voice of the invisible ones. I'd rather celebrate the voice of all those people, regardless of what nationality they identify, that they don't get a chance to be acknowledged. And so when we come in, we bring it with us, all of it. We don't leave anybody behind. We represent the whole human race. I'd rather do a song about the human heart and being one family. In the last 6 months, I came up with a name that describes that, but very few live it and manifest it. SOCC. Sound of Collective Consciousness. No, it's very important to maintain, uphold, and retain passion. If you remember the first time you saw Jimi Hendrix go for a note, or Stevie Ray, there's a certain sound, even with the volume off. With Coltrane or Miles or Bob Marley, the immortal ones, there's a certain stance that they have, and that that it's not something that they practice ever in front of the mirror. It's a sound that comes from your calves, here, 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 here. It's not just a sound that comes from here. Coltrane calls it one positive thought creates millions of positive vibrations. There's notes to sound like a ghost that wants to get back to God. Very haunting, never whining, but crying. It's like a lament. There's notes like that. There's notes that scream of like Albert Collins. That's notes of cussing you out, And there's notes to hug God like Coltrane. So the quest is to go there, to that place where Buddy Guy, Stevie Ray, Otis Rush, B.B. King, Albert King, Coltrane, Miles, Wayne Shorter. It's a sound that's outside of time. You would call it a moment in timelessness. Bob Dylan calls it forever young. We call it eternally relevant. Eternally relevant. It means it's not going to go passé. 5,000 years from now, people say, damn, that sounds good. It feels great. And so that's the quest, is to go beyond technique or anything like that, or mechanics. Without Miles and Coltrane, it would just be pancakes without the syrup. We need the syrup, and the syrup is black people music, African music, because it has sentiment, it has feeling. And so it's important that we give credit, as we speaking, to where we get 85 to 90% of our music. The other stuff is just technical. You can learn that from a book. You can learn that by repetition. You can learn that from watching a CD and stuff. But the feeling, that's something else. That's like going to a chef and really, really learning about the sauce. The sauce has to be supremely delicious forever. So those are the things that I look for: sound, feeling, and bringing each concert into like a hug, man. A real, genuine, heartfelt hug. Those are the notes that I look for. I can learn to play fast, it's never too late. But I want to maintain and retain how fast can you penetrate the heart, not how much you can cram into the ear. Very few people play fast and deep. That's a whole other vocabulary, to play fast and deep. That's for the very few. Because you have to practice learning to feel your heart. That many people don't want to invest in. Like, well, what is that? Feeling your heart. What, you know? But if you slow down and say, man, I really, 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 really love you. And before you know it, people in the audience, man, they got tears in their eyes. And they're getting up and they're giving you a standing ovation, and they're crying and laughing and dancing. That's a whole other kind of vocabulary, man. That's a Holy Ghost vocabulary. And you can't learn that from a book. And it's important that while we're doing this interview, we visit why people still come to see Santana. We bring a lot with us, and we want to honor, all of it. The question is, can you make those songs genuine, sincere, honest, true, and real? Soul, heart, mind, body, cojones. Every note. You play like that, man. Like Chuck Berry used to say, people come from 100 miles just to hear you play your guitar. That's a serious compliment. Finding your own voice. Well, here's the kicker. You were born with it. You were genius, and you allow people to de-genize you. Because you started believing that you're insignificant, you're a sinner, you're just a little, oh, my little 2 cents, what can I do? And now I have to go to the crossroads and wait for a black cat and a full moon. You want to find your own voice? Turn off the chatter in your brain and go into that place where you feel oneness with the center of your heart. And you will find uniqueness, individuality. Just one note, people say, oh, I know who that is. So I would say, if you want to find your voice, it's always been there, always have been, never not have been, always will be. You were born with it. Learn to feel. If you're afraid of your own feelings, then you shouldn't even be a musician. How do you find your own voice? Learn to get out of your own way. That's it.